I am 40, have had suspicions about my wife, F39, 4 months now. I have expressed my concerns and fears over this time, and she has reassured me, but nothing in her odd behavior has changed. Today, I had to do something on her phone to make sure it's ready for trade-in, and I took a minute to snoop. I'm not sure if I was hoping to finally confirm my fears or put my mind at ease, but my fears were confirmed. There are definitive statements that she ducked him one afternoon not too long ago, and she loves him. I showed her what I saw and she admitted it. We have things to deal with for the kids right now, so the discussion is on hold. I don't know where to go from here. Is it even worth having a discussion? How can I believe anything she says to me? I'm questioning so much right now and feel like so much of the last 12 years of my life is up in the air. Update. After spending the last couple days dissecting the last year and all the lies, deceit, and other BS, I realized that my wife hasn't worn her rings in months. At the time she stopped her reasoning because of her weight gain. Now that I'm seeing everything in a new light, in previous episodes of weight gain she had always put them on a chain to still have with her. I can't help but feel my own ring is tainted now and represents all the betrayal I've experienced. So for the first time in over 12 years, I'm not wearing it. Thinking back over the last few years, I'm 40M, starting to see all the warning signs that I should have seen all along with my STBXW39F. One sign I definitely should have paid more attention to is the fact that I have only ever experienced performance issues when things were feeling off a few years ago during her emotional affair, the stress of the false reconciliation, and when I began to suspect cheating this time around. I did what I could to power through and convince myself I was just sensitive and overreacting. I should have listened to my body. From now on, I believe red flags will shine a lot brighter, and I'll have to remember that our instincts and physical reactions are there for a reason. Update. My STBXW wants to wait to tell the kids, elementary school age, anything so they can enjoy the holidays one last time. We're stuck living in the same house anyway for a couple months, so I originally agreed. Mistakenly, I believed this meant she would actually put in more effort than she has in the last year while having her affair. Yesterday, she bailed on a family shopping trip to take a nap, I guess so she could have some rest before leaving for a night out without offering any help with dinner, and then staying out overnight, presumably with AP. Am I being selfish if I don't want to keep this secret anymore? Does it really help make things easier for anyone other than her? Edit. Thank you all for your insights. I have done my best to read them all and have ultimately decided that before making any rash decisions, I am going to consult with a family counselor, so that I can have a proper strategy and additional support available for my kids right away. STBXW and I have had a conversation and set up a schedule and agreed to our responsibilities when it's our day on said schedule. Additionally, she has agreed not to spend the night elsewhere while we are keeping this information private. I believe she will keep her end of the bargain, and I will make more decisions after I have more information. Update. It's been a roller coaster for 3 weeks, but today has been especially hard. She met with her lawyer today so we can start getting the papers drawn up. We just finished reviewing some of the questions about the parenting agreement and property division. It all just keeps getting so much more real. I just feel so sad and alone right now. Today's feeling better. I've had some time to work through my thoughts. I got to go on a walk this morning, and tonight I get to hang out with a friend out of the house, and without the kids. Another bit of good news, I've lost 6 pounds since D-Day. I realized her guilt was causing me to gain weight. All the time she was late getting home, or I waited up for her, she would bring home late night food so we could hang out. Didn't matter that I told her I wasn't hungry, or that we shouldn't spend the money. I think in her warped head, spending an hour with me eating crappy food made up for leaving me alone for most of the night. Even last night she texted to see if I wanted to order food. I'm very proud of myself for not doing it. Update. It's been a wild ride since I, 40M, discovered my STBXW39F was having an affair. Well, today the signed divorce agreement was filed with the courts and should be finalized in 30 days. Those first couple weeks were a crazy roller coaster of emotions, but I ultimately decided I'd rather have the unknown potential misery of being alone than the misery of knowing I was with someone who could do those things to me. I had to make a couple concessions to keep things moving fast, but overall I'm pleased and not quite as financially destroyed as I thought I would be. I should get to keep the house, that will be up to the bank now, and so far we're surviving the co-parenting stuff. We have reached the end of the story. Let's listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. The kids do not want to be in a home where there are secrets and infidelity. Do them and yourself a favor and leave her. Kids are resilient, and with love and counseling, they will be fine. For your own peace of mind, just be alone rather than be with a lying, cheating coward who likely would have never come clean. Comment 2. She doesn't want to lose you, but she also told him she loved him. So, she was lying to both of you during the affair? Now, is she telling the truth? Is this the first time she cheated? Are you prepared to police her actions for years to come? Those are questions to ask yourself. Edited due to other info from OP. OP reply. AP is single and fully aware that she is married. I don't think she had anything to lie to him about and didn't care. I do believe it's possible to love two people at once. The betrayal is what destroys me here. She was emotional about 3 to 4 years ago, which now I'm certainly wondering if there was more to that. I plan to get tested ASAP, and she said she would too, but I still want my own as I don't feel like I can rely on her for anything right now. At this point my thinking is that if I do end up staying it will be with the assumption that this will happen again. I walked into my husband taking a wild shower with a random woman while my kid was crying in the hallway, and he got emotional and said I'm the one wrong here. My husband 30M cheated on me with a girl 30F that was supposed to be my best friend. She was my bridesmaid, her husband was a groomsman, and their kids were a ring bearer and flower girl. My husband and I have been together for 8 years, married for 1.5. So, the affair started a year ago, and I found out immediately something was going on. They were very comfortable with each other and touching in a way that I wasn't okay with, right in front of my face and talking way too much on Snapchat. They denied it, and I believed them. She brought up my past relationship where I was cheated on and said she would never make me feel that way again. They continued to work out together and hang out while her husband and I were going both at our jobs. We didn't know. My husband has mostly worked from home since COVID, and she only works a couple times a week. I was 3 months pregnant with his son when all of this started. I was in a really dark place. I had a really terrible first trimester. I was literally miserable. I let things such as housework and paying attention to my husband slide, and it got bad. I never realized that he was struggling also. I wasn't the friend she needed either. I shut her and literally everyone else out, including my family. I wanted to be left alone. I was not okay. They turned to each other. They began an emotional affair and hid it from her husband and I for months. She would guilt me into hanging out with her, and he acted like things were fine between us. A couple months after the first time I had suspicions, I started to feel like something was going on again. She kept a workout journal in my husband and my barn where they worked out. I didn't know they were working out together yet. One day I decided to look at it. It was full of intimate song lyrics to each other. They were dated. One said I love you. It was my husband's handwriting, and here's. I was crushed and 5 months pregnant at this time. We put a stop to it, or so we thought. They also swore to us that it was just emotional and not physical. They would text and talk on the phone all day. Then they'd delete all of it. They would meet up at my house and hang out for who knows how long. My husband and I began counseling a few days later, where I actually just found out he was lying all during counseling too. We went to counseling for 3 months until our son was born. My husband was so disconnected during the birth, and it crushed me. I struggled daily with being around him after that. I hadn't forgiven him, I hadn't even begun to heal. A couple months later, I approached him about other issues I was struggling with as well as the fact that I needed to hash it all out and talk about it again. This was the first time he expressed remorse for what he had done and admitted it was wrong. 6 months after I had caught them the last time, I instantly felt better. I had forgiven him. I had heard what I needed to hear. I no longer hated being around him and found myself enjoying spending time with him again. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago. I was on my way out of town when my phone started ringing, and it was the girl's husband on the other side. He called me to tell me that he had caught them together that morning, shortly after I had left. My husband had kissed me bye and told me he loved me as I left with our son for the day. He was set on divorce because initially I had said I was done. What else was I going to say at that moment? He was so dead set on divorce that it destroyed me that he wanted that when he was the cheater. I asked him so many times to tell me the truth and tell me it was physical. He always said no. It was only emotional. He had love for her, but wasn't in love with her. One day that week he was on his way home from work, we were on the phone. He told me work was calling, and he had to go. Then he didn't get home until 20 minutes later than normal. When he got home he was not okay. He was zoned out and crying. He wouldn't talk to me. I knew it was about her. I knew he had been with her. I asked him if he was upset that she was choosing to fix her marriage. He was. He said he was happy for her, but I know him better than he thinks I do. I comforted him for the loss of his girlfriend. That devastated me. No woman should have to comfort their husband for a breakup between him and another woman while he's married to you. 2 days ago, I found a message he had typed to her on his iPad in his notes. I read it. It crushed me even more. He called her sweet love and told her he loved her multiple times. She was the best, and he wished he could prove it to her daily. It was dated 3 weeks ago. I confronted him. He played dumb again. I asked him again if it was physical. He said no, swore on my life that it wasn't physical. The next day I had to leave to go to work. I contacted the girl's husband to see if he was home that day. He was. We ended up talking for way too long, and he broke the news to me. They had been having sex since the beginning a year ago. I confronted my husband with this new information. He lied. Again and again. They were making it up. Trying to make me miserable. Yesterday morning, I texted the girl and asked her if I could talk to her. We met shortly after. She confessed everything to me. They had been sleeping together for a year. In my home. In my bed. She had met my son. She had been around him 4 times. They had only briefly quit talking to each other for about a month. They would talk every 2 weeks, then a month after our son's birth, they started talking daily. That was 6 months ago. Remember when I said we hashed it out 5 months ago? They were already starting up their affair again. When things finally got better for me, and he broke down and apologized to me for doing what he had done, he was actually already doing it again. It meant nothing. They'd been sneaking around together ever since I went back to work in August. They would text and talk on the phone and delete everything. They had each other's numbers memorized, so it didn't matter if they weren't saved. They used this app, Reddit, to talk where her husband and I would never see it. They were having sex in my bed. My home that is supposed to be my safe and happy place, no longer is. I don't want to be in this house. Oh yeah, she also admitted to me that she initially started this to hurt me. She wanted to hurt me like I had hurt her. I pushed her away when I was at a low point. I pushed everyone away. She started sleeping with my husband. That is not the same. How did I deserve that? I told my husband I had met with her, and she had told me everything. At that moment, this was the first time he wanted to talk about things. All of his lies for the last year had finally come crashing down around him. He finally came clean, because he no longer had the choice. He told me mostly everything. There's still questions I ask that he won't answer. They've had sex in 3 of the rooms in our house. I hate it here. I want out of this house. But how? It's not possible. I don't want to tell anyone. Not even my family or closest friends. I am embarrassed. I am broken. I am alone. I feel like such a waste of space. But I will continue to be as strong as I can be for my son. We've discussed counseling options again, and he is very back and forth. He seems interested in fixing things, or trying to, but then starts tossing the divorce word around like it's nothing again. It hurts me every single time. He told me that she has done this before. Twice successfully and attempted with another mutual friend of ours. He wouldn't take her bait. My husband is the only one she has slept with. She claims she is in love with him, but wants to fix her marriage. She had expressed to my husband that she wanted to leave her marriage for him recently. She's now a different person than she was 2 weeks ago. I can't believe that knowing that she's done this before that my husband continued to fall into her trap. How did he think he would be different? How did none of this seem wrong? Am I really just that bad of a wife? How do I get past this? I want to fix our marriage. I still love him. I want our son to actually have memories of us being together as a family. I don't want another woman helping to raise my son, especially her. Am I stupid for wanting to stay? Am I weak for wanting to try to fix what has been broken? Side note, I also feel like our marriage is a joke and one big show. It's fake. He told me he wasn't happy on our wedding day. He didn't feel loved and cared for then. So why get married? I will forever be grateful because it gave me our son, but it doesn't hurt any less. I'm not a good wife. I do so many things wrong. I'm not clean enough, I'm not career-oriented enough, I don't bring enough to the table. I have spent the last year listening to all about what I could and should do better, but don't. I'm not good enough. There are so many other small things that go into all of this, that don't feel that small at all anymore. Just certain things he has told me. He'd be more attracted to me if I worked out. But he never acknowledged the fact that I lost 40 pounds. He doesn't show affection towards me. He always said he just wasn't that affectionate. But he has been affectionate towards her. What should I do? How do I get past this? How do I begin to trust him again? He says I have also broken his trust by snooping through his iPad. I have no one to talk to. I don't want anyone else to know yet. I don't want my family and friends to hate him. I am alone. I am looking for hopeful stories from people who have been through something similar. I need hope. Please refrain from negativity. I'm struggling with that right now. I am sure I am forgetting something. It's been a really long and emotional year. A lot has happened. I am thankful to have my baby boy. Update. Day for all of this was October 29th. I do not feel at home there, I am not comfortable, and I cannot think straight when I am in that house. However, at this time it is where I know I must be for the sake of the fact that it is my 9-month-old's home, and where all of his things are, and we have nowhere else to go at this time. We got rid of our couches and mattress that had been ruined for me, and with it we chose to make it through the holidays and into the new year before listing our house for sale. We've now begun that process. I feel like it is slightly better having a different mattress, but it does not stop my thoughts. He had her there, he allowed her to be in our home, in our room, our bed. Ugh. I am dealing with it for now, because I have no other choice until the house sells, but it is still hard. I really believe that once we get out of there things will really start to improve for me mentally. My question is this though, I just found out 4 days ago that they met up a few times and messed around in his truck. I was under the impression that the truck was not a location they were ever together in any way. They did not have a rubber, so they just did other things. You all know what that means. Anyways, I am now very much struggling with the thought of even getting in that truck. I want him to get rid of it. I don't know what I want him to do other than that. It's not realistic though. It's paid off, the market for vehicles is absolutely insane right now. It's just not financially possible, while we are also trying to sell and find a new house to buy. What did some of you do to get past the triggers that aren't possible to cut out of your life? Any advice on how to get past it? Every time I think of having to go somewhere in the truck, all I see is them in the back seat messing around. I am so ready for the triggers to get better. It literally just hits me at any time. I also hate to listen to music now, because that was their thing. They sent each other song lyrics that reminded them of the other one. Lovey-dovey crap. Now I constantly wonder with any song that comes on if it reminds him of her. If I like a song and want to play it, does it make him think of her? Because I don't want to listen to it or play it at all. But how do I really know? I don't, but I would rather not even listen to music at all than risk him sitting there with her on his mind. It's so frustrating. We have reached the end of the story. Let's listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. He has you wanting to fix the marriage. By changing for him? You are not working out, you are not bringing money in. You snooped. He can't trust you? You. Yet he ducked your best friend. And he lied to you repeatedly. Reread that. Multiple times. Bounce the ducker out. Comment 2. He has done everything to show you he has zero respect for you except slap you in the face. He has lied repeatedly. A cheater is already lying to you, so never expect the truth. He has cheated repeatedly, even after being caught he continued. What does he have to do before you realize you picked a loser? After everything he has done and you still want to fix the marriage that he cared nothing for, have an open marriage. He is never going to stop.